What's up, everyone? Welcome to the show. We're your hosts, Grant Cohn, Coach Noah Johnston. Niners won, and we keep doing this dance like they win a game and they're great. They lose a game and they're trash. So they're 7-6. I think it'd be fun to reassess where they really are and sort of discuss are they underrated, are they overrated. Let's break it down, starting with defense, offense, special teams, that kind of thing. Okay. How you doing, Coach?
Doing great.
All right, so let's start defense. How good is this 2021 49ers defense?
I think it's a little around average. I know we're going to talk about all the units, but what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to compare the two, the offense and the defense. And I know I did watch your session after the game, and I think you were talking about how the offense essentially won the game for them. And I have a different take because I think the defense won the game for them, and I'm going to explain to you you why.
Fair enough.
Because, all right, so in regulation, the 49ers scored 20 points, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Not a lot.
So 10 of those points came from the Bengals giving them the ball on the 30 and in. Okay.
You're right.
Now I'm going to read to you what the 49ers did on their drives. All right.
Okay.
So started off 3 plays, negative 11 yards. Okay. Next, 5 plays, 17 yards.
Okay.
4 plays, 8 yards, field goal.
Yeah.
6 plays, 75 yards, touchdown.
Nice. Yeah.
3 plays, 7 yards, punt. 3 plays, negative 5 yards, punt.
Wow.
4 plays, 31 yards, touchdown. Okay, that's the first half. Okay, first half. Now we go into the second half, okay? 12 plays, 69 yards, field goal. Okay, great. 6 plays, 1 yard, punt. 4 plays, 5 yards, punt. 4 plays, 22 yards, punt. 10 plays, 50 yards, missed field goal. And then in overtime, they 7 plays, 75 yards.
2 good drives.
Jimmy Garoppolo was awesome and all that.
Okay. So I'm overrating. Okay, but how good is the 49ers defense, Coach? We're going to talk about the offense in a minute.
Yeah, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to run down some stats, and I think it's important to look at it league wide and not just go yards and everything, because everything is all relative, right? Mm-hmm. And so the 49ers with yards allowed, their defense is 8th. It's 8th in the league. Points allowed, it's 13th. Turnovers, it's 18th.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And scoring percent, it's 17th. Now, the thing we also talk about is penalties. I think there's this perception like the Niners, they're one of the most penalized teams in the league. The Niners defense is 12th for penalties. So as in when we're talking about 12th, not the 12th most, like
mm-hmm.
the 12th, right? For yards, they're 6th. So they're not, when you look at it league wide, this defense isn't penalized for a lot of yards. They're 6th. And then, so I think that's important too. And then also for first downs allowed, I think they're 14th. They're for penalties, they're 14th. So I don't think there's this perception. I think that they're this over penalized defense, and it's not necessarily true. And I think they're about, like, if you look at what the stats say, and that they're about average, like an average defense.
That's the way I see it. Like, they used to have a dominant defense 2 years ago, and now it's average to, like, here's the thing. When they have Moseley and Azeez Al-Shaair on the field, I think they're a good defense. Like, Azeez has taken this defense up a notch, and Mosley's solid plus, maybe better than solid. But without Azeez, like, you saw it in this game, when he went down, the defense fell apart. I mean, Bosa saved it at the end, but really the defense started giving up points after Azeez went down in the second half. I don't know how good they are against the run without him. I don't know how good they really are without him. But with him, I think they're a good defense. It's too bad they don't have that dominant defense they had 2 years ago. And I still think that giving up signing Armstead instead of Buckner was one of the dumbest moves the Niners have made in franchise history. I know people are like, well, you wouldn't have Jimmy Ward. I like Jimmy Ward too, but I'll take Buckner because pairing Buckner with Bosa would have, I feel like with smart coaching and smart roster management, you'd have a top 5 defense for a very long time. Instead, you have like a defense that's ranked right around 10-ish, which is good, above average, but man, you could have had a top 5 defense perennially, which is rough, but it's still good though. Nice that they have Azeez Al-Shaair.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I think there's bigger issues. I mean, just
it's good to have a good defense.
No, it's great.
I'm lamenting the fact that they don't have a great defense. It's not a great defense, but it could have been.
It's not a great defense, and it's not just. I think it's not just the Buckner thing. It's they need. There's 2 important pieces that they don't have to this defense, and both of them are injured players, right? We're talking about Verrett. They need a corner opposite Moseley, and that guy was Verrett, and he's injured. And I think we all, if I told you before the season Verrett was going to get injured, it wouldn't surprise you. And then the other one is D Ford. Like D Ford on that other side of Bosa is an important piece when he's healthy. I mean, I think you just tweeted not too long ago that Kyle said that D Ford's done for the season, right? So,
right.
I mean, we all kind of expected that as well. So, I mean, and those are 2 injured players that are, and players that have had injuries in the past that cannot contribute to this team.
We need to do a D Ford topic right after this. Real quick, I want to say that I still feel that in 2019. The contributions from Sherman and Ford were a little romanticized. Like Ford had some moments, but I don't think he was really that important. And Sherman, I mean, I think he got exposed at the end and really wasn't tested much early on. Still, that defense was number 2 in the league. I really feel like that Buckner-Bosa combination could have taken them far, but we'll never know, and I can't prove it. Let's answer what?
I was just gonna say, I think it's not necessarily.
No, I'm right.
It's not necessarily that Ford it's like special himself, but what Ford Ford is an edge guy opposite Bosa, another true edge opposite Bosa that can rush the passer. That's what Ford.
And when he was healthy, you could see what the 2 of them could do together.
They don't need they don't need another Ford, but they need a legitimate edge guy. That's what they need.
All right, let's talk about Ford though. I forgot to make this a topic, but Kyle Shanahan casually mentioned yesterday in his Monday conference call that, D Ford's probably not going to play this season. Slow down there, Kyle. This is a big deal. Like, for example, they just they put him on IR and they opened up his practice window 3 weeks ago. And you're thinking, wow, that's aggressive. Mid-season. Oh, because they could do it anyway, right? They could have waited until week 15 and had given him the last 3 weeks of the season and say, take it. We'll give him as long as he needs, and maybe we'll have him for the playoffs. No. They did it in freaking November, and then now they're like, oh yeah, I guess he wasn't like good job, Ben Peterson. Good estimation there. That's a big mistake. Big mistake. They didn't have to open up his window now, but put that aside. It doesn't sound like any window was going to bring this guy back. He's damaged goods, and once again, you renegotiated this dude's contract. You saved some money this year by basically ensuring that he'll be back next year. Nice. And what we're going to hear next year in training camp is how good he was. Yeah. And I don't want to hear it anymore. Because obviously his body can't take the violence of football anymore. Most human bodies can't. His can't anymore. I don't think it really can. Sorry.
No.
Not my problem, though.
I agree, but isn't this the same kind of thing that happened last year? Right, he started off. What was the injury he had at the beginning of the year? Then all of a sudden it became his neck. Then they found the same with the neck, and then
his back.
Yeah. So it's the D Ford. It's D Ford MO.
I don't blame D Ford.
No,
he signed the contract and he's rehabbing. He's doing the best he can. I just think it's again. I'm going to talk about this later, but the difference between to me the Niners and say Arizona, who's kind of surpassed them, although they lost last night, and the Patriots, is those teams really do not hang on to mistakes long. If you're not getting it done, if you're not living up to your contract, you're out. And they'll just be like, okay, we made a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Move on. We made a mistake.
Yeah.
The Niners are like, no, D Ford was not a mistake. Not a mistake. He's coming back next year. It's all part of the plan. Like, guys, he was a mistake. You held on to Jimmy Garoppolo 4 years too long. You held on to Dante Pettis too long, Jalen Hurd too long. Like, it's okay to say we got something wrong, move on, because that's actually much better for your franchise than just sticking your head in the sand and saying, it's going to work out.
Did they hang on to Reuben Foster too long?
Yes.
Did they hang on to Aldon Smith too long?
Well, that's a different, but yes.
It's an off-season thing. It's an off out of the field thing.
What would Bill Belichick do? That's always the question. What would Bill Belichick do? Would he have a D Ford problem on his team? Hell no. It would never happen. It would never happen.
Remember in South Park, what would Brian Boitano do?
Same thing. That's like 1999 right there. That's old school. When is Moseley able to come back? Okay, this is a good question. The Niners placed Emmanuel Moseley on injured reserve 3 days ago. So it's got to be a minimum of 3 weeks. They can open up his practice window in 18 days. We would give him, possibly bring him back for the last couple games. Maybe you could have him back against the Rams. But it seems like probably playoffs.
Yeah. We've talked about in this show before. I'm a big fan of bring back players when they're 100%. Don't try to rush them back.
High ankle sprain is tricky. You play cornerback. That's the most athletically demanding position on the field.
And the 49ers don't have anybody else. It's like literally like who Grant, you're the next up. If you know,
I just don't have the quick twitch I used to have, man. I just don't.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at this point. They just need bodies. Like
a couple of years ago, I started running on a track just to, like, I was like 30. I was about to hit 30. I think I was having like a young life crisis. Like I'm old, and I wanted to see if I could still run. And I just was stuck in third gear the whole time. I used to be able to kick it into fourth and fifth. I can't. It was like, this sucks, dude. I'm slow now. Anyway, I'm slow now, and I felt like fat and heavy, like just like gravity was pushing down. I remember being 165 in high school, just gliding. Like, that doesn't happen anymore. It's too bad. Anyway, I'm not going to play cornerback for this team. It's got to be Moseley. They're going to have to be slow with him. I'm thinking playoffs at the earliest, maybe week 18 against the Rams. But if it's up to Ben Peterson, he'll be back in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
All right. So we talked about the Niners defense. You said it's average. I said it's good when healthy.
Well, no,
but not.
It's never healthy. It's never healthy.
Not healthy. And if Azeez misses a game, I think that's worse than Warner missing a game. But let's talk about the offense. How good is the offense? I think I might have praised it a little too much after this game, but that's what we're here for. The emotions have worn off. That's what happens. Team wins an emotional game in overtime, and you praise them too much. It's 2 days later. Let's be honest about the offense. How good is it?
Average.
It's ranked 12th in yards. It's ranked
12th in yards, 13th in points.
Yeah.
Scoring percent is 14th.
Yeah.
Penalties, they're 13th. And
hold on? Here's one. Rushing yards per attempt, 17th. Rushing yards per attempt.
And here's one. Do you know? And for penalty yards on offense, they're 29th. That's not 29th least.
Because we're thinking about the defense having the issue with penalties. It's the offense. Wow. I have more. Okay, so during that 3-game winning streak where the Niners were crowned as like the next Super Bowl champions, it was all about Jimmy, right? And his ability to convert third downs. That made everything work, apparently. You know what the Niners' third down conversion rate is this season?
What?
Where they rank? 24th. 24th. So, yeah, man, this offense is not great. It's good. I mean, they have some serious players. Debo, Kittle, Ayuk, wow. And then Elijah Mitchell, too, wow. But that offensive line is not good. It was a disaster. And then you paired that with a quarterback who doesn't even try to move his feet. You got a pretty middle-of-the-road offense.
I think what you have to do is, as when you're as a consumer of football, you have to change the way you look at or watch things, because the game is so offensive. So it's so offensive, right? So you look at your defense, you're like, oh wow, our defense stinks. Not really. The game it's just so offensively geared that offenses just have an easier time doing things, and defenses are going to look worse. So you have to relate your defense to the rest of the league, and you have to relate your offense to the rest of the league. And so really the Niners offense, it's average, and their defense, it's average, but their defense isn't like, it's not as bad as people make it make it seem. And I think the 49ers, and there are games where I think we put it on the defense and it's not their fault.
The thing that surprised me about the Niners, looking into their numbers, their offense, third down. I mean, I was thinking this is the best third down offense in the league. That's kind of their reputation. I mean, Kittle, Ayuk, Debo, pick your point. How do you defend all that?
Right.
24th? That is wild to me. And so, like, why is that? Well, you have Tom Compton out there. That's part of it. Like, your third down is a passing down, and your pass protection ain't good. Also, you got one read Jimmy, cement feet Jimmy, whose third down performance is greatly exaggerated. His quarterback rating on third down right now is 90, which is fine. It's pretty freaking average. So, yeah, I think it's kind of underperforming too. Like, you should be better than 12th with all that firepower on offense. Then again, you got Tom Compton out there, makes it tough.
Yeah.
So,
and
D's, we're gonna give him a D plus.
The right side. I wouldn't just say Tom Compton, but the right side. Like, the right side is not
run skill too.
Yeah,
and so you wonder why this team is 7-6. Well, the offense is, the defense is, the Niners are. That's pretty much my analysis of the 2021 49ers. They're, that's them. 7-6. It's like it's a fitting record for them. And I don't know. 24th on third down. Yikes. Yuck. Not 17th in yards per attempt. Man. And the penalty thing is the worst part. 29th? Yo. What's up with that? And where are they at in turnovers?
Turnovers offensively 15th. So mediocre. I think they've I don't know. I don't have the stats over the last couple of games. I mean, I think they apparently they've cleaned up their turnover at least the last couple of games. I think.
And the best thing they do on offense is the red zone, right?
I don't have those stats.
Hold on, let me get that real quick. Hold on, let me get that because it seems like that's what's their thing. Hold on, scoring, offense, red zone, scoring percentage. They're number one. They're still number one in the league. So that's what they can say they do best is once they get down there, score touchdowns. But as you pointed out,
Jimmy's just so elite in the red zone.
As you pointed out, they didn't have many long drives against Cincinnati. Once you shut down the Niners' run game, they don't really have this ability to control the clock and have these long drives. I mean, it's all about, can Debo get you a big play? Can Kittle get you a big play? Can I get you a big play? Because Jimmy won't. Sorry.
Right. And the big thing with Jimmy, and I think just don't turn it over. Like
don't turn it over. Yeah.
Don't ruin the game for us.
Don't lose the game.
Don't lose the game.
Get the ball to Ayuk behind the line of scrimmage, Kittle behind the line of scrimmage, Debo behind the line of scrimmage. Let them win the game. Don't you lose it.
Right. And if you look at the last game, if I'm Kyle and like I'm seeing the Bengals fumble over and over again, I'm like, I just want them to give. If they want to lose this game, just let them lose the game. Just let the Bengals lose the game, and as long as we don't make a mistake in that game,
yeah.
And that's essentially how they more or less won it. Is the Bengals turned the ball over and the Niners didn't, and that was a big difference in the game, the turnovers.
Yeah, absolutely. We're overrated. Can't trust this team week to week. I mean, after a win, they're kind of overrated. After losses, maybe they're a little underrated. People come down hard. I come down hard on them, and then they show that they're actually a really talented team that is sort of just underperforming this season. But
now, right.
Every once in a while, they have a performance. You're like, man, this team could beat anyone when healthy.
Right.
But,
well,
yeah.
I will say this is the NFL. The NFL is a league where it's about how healthy you are and then how hot you are, right? If you look at it in the last 5-6 weeks, the Niners are one of the hotter teams. I know they had a bad loss to Seattle. Okay. But if you look at it, that's one loss over the last couple of weeks, and they've won the majority of the games over the last couple of weeks. Now, how are they going to finish the season? If they finish the season and let's say they have the Seattle loss and maybe one more loss, like you got to say that's pretty impressive to finish the season like that. Even with a Seattle loss, if they somehow manage to go undefeated the rest of the season, I mean, that's really impressive.
Mo Dollar says, Congressman, does this team have some 2011 New York Giants to them, or am I high on copium? I mean, I've heard this a few times. I mean, to me, the big difference between those teams is that 11 Giants team had championship pedigree. They won in 2007. So it's like the Niners didn't win. They lost by 11. They got outscored 21-0 in the fourth quarter of their Super Bowl. It's not like this is a team that's done it before and knows they can do it again. It's a little bit different. And also, I think that Eli Manning was better than Jimmy.
Yeah, but that's kind of the thing. Sometimes and even with that defense that year was better. But in the NFL, like if your offense kind of like, takes a dump and doesn't do anything for a long time, and you put your defense in a position like this game, is such where if you give offense, especially good ones, enough chances, I don't care how good your defense is, they're gonna start doing things. It's just the nature of the game. That's what happened.
Also, the Giants defense had 4 really good pass rushers, if I remember correctly. Jason Pierre-Paul, Justin Tuck, Osi Umenyiora, and one more dude. They were really good. They were 4 deep. I don't know the Niners.
Yeah, and they put them all on the field at the same time.
Yeah, it was a little bit different. But yeah, I can see it. I mean, they were a wild card team. They kind of messed around most of the season, but they played that. They lost to the Niners in the regular season, but it came down to the very end. I mean, I saw the Giants that season. You could kind of tell that they had it in them. I guess, I don't know. I mean, would the Giants went to Green Bay that year and won the playoffs? Did they not? I think they did. Yeah, so if maybe the Niners can do it too. Well, maybe they can do it too.
What I would say is they could. Let the season play out, and before you start comparing them to the Giants, let's see what they do for the rest of the season. If they win the games the rest of the season, I guess by all means draw comparisons, because like I said, that's impressive to finish.
But again, that was the championship team that like got it together and won a second one. That's not the Niners. They're still
no. They lost their first one. They lost their first one. They lost their first one.
Yeah. Teddy says, who's more overrated, Matt LaFleur or Kyle Shanahan? Well, LaFleur's never had a losing season. Now he does have Aaron Rodgers. I don't know. That's a good question. What do you think?
It's tough. It's hard to say what Matt LaFleur is, just because he's in a great spot in Green Bay. He's got Aaron Rodgers. He's got Devontae Adams. Their defense is very good. I mean, Mike McCarthy did win a Super Bowl there. Like, he did win. I gotta give it to LaFleur, man. I mean, he has a lot, but he's making it work. I mean, Kyle could have had Tom Brady and said no. So I got to give it to LaFleur. I don't think LaFleur would have said no to Tom Brady. And the common sense of that alone. Right. And he didn't ship Aaron Rodgers out if Kyle was there, do you think that Kyle would have, when Aaron Rodgers had his little act, would Kyle have traded him?
I don't know, maybe. But again, like let's look at Brady for a second. The logic to not bring in Brady was like, hey, man, he's at the end of his career and Jimmy's got more of a future. Okay, since then, Brady's won a Super Bowl, might win another, and you've replaced Jimmy Garoppolo with someone who's the future. So the whole logic of not bringing in Tom Brady was way off. Again, not signing Armstead instead of Buckner and then convincing yourself to stick with Jimmy over Brady, too. And that happened in the same offseason, did it not? Am I tripping? Same offseason. Man.
Yeah.
What a Super Bowl hangover that was. All right. Like, that's the kind of stuff that, like, in 20 years, John Lynch will be at a bar drinking by himself, drunk, being like, man, I don't know how we let Tom Brady get away. I just don't get it. How did we do that? Buckner, how did we do that? Okay, moving on. So Robbie Gould missed that kick. Niners won the game. No one's really thinking about it, but he's had a really bad year. He's missed time. He missed an extra point against the Seahawks. He missed a field goal here. Can the 40 – is this guy going to, like, ruin their chance to do something this year? Can the Niners work around this? Can he bounce back? Is this mental? Is it physical? What the hell is going on with Robbie Gould? Tell me.
Well, he's never been great for range, right? Like that's not his thing. So I would probably say it's probably mental. But the thing about it is it could not only hurt them this year, but it could hurt them the next year, because they're locked into him, right, for this year and then the following year.
Yes.
And he doesn't have a movable contract. I believe it's all guaranteed money.
Yes.
So I mean,
Yeah,
it'd be nice. It'd be nice to cut that $5 or $6 million. It's $5 or $6 million to cut that, shave that off, and then go sign Joe Sly. Is it? And for like a cool $500K, but you can't do that. So Ghoul, he could end up costing them.
In Chicago, he was in Chicago for 11 years. His field goal percentage was 85.4. The Niners get him in 2017. He hits hold on. In 2017, he hits 39 of 41, 95%. In 2018, he hits 33 of 34. And the Niners, like, he wants to leave. The Niners force him to stay, give him that extension. Since then, 2019, he hits 23 of 31. Last year, 19 to 23, and this year, 13 to 16. So he's really fallen off to a guy who makes about 3/4 or 4/5 of his kicks. I don't know if it's that he doesn't want to be here anymore or if he's just getting old, but he is not the kicker he was his first 2 years on the Niners. And this is scary, man. I mean, this is a team that could go somewhere and they could lose because of Robbie Gould in the playoffs. He could be Cody Parkey. Is that guy's name? The double doink?
Yeah.
He could be the double doink.
The double doinker.
Double doinker.
Well, surprise, surprise, someone got the bag and is not performing up to standards, right?
Funny how that freaking
yes, surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
Well, that's why that we were talking in the end. That's why you got to give it to Trent Williams. He got the bag and he's performing up to the bag, right?
On a scale of 1 to 10, how big of a concern should Robbie Gould be for the 49ers right
now? Probably 7.
I'll go 8.
You go 8. Okay.
I'll go 8. Yeah, I don't know what's up with this man. I don't know what if there's a field goal that matters, game on the line and it's more than 45 yards. Would you even put him out? I mean, you gotta, but I don't feel confident. No, I don't know. That kick in Cincinnati started left and like went all the way right. That was like that kick that Levi's a couple years ago from his backup that lost the game, and everyone said, remember? It was when they against Seattle too. I forget. Anyway,
okay.
That was a terrible kick. Robbie, what happened? Do you want to talk about it, Robbie?
Maybe ease off the ping pong and practice more kicks.
Is Richie James still on the team? IR.
Is it not? I don't
even know. Hold on.
That's a good question.
Is he still on the team? I think he's on IR. Yeah, he's on IR.
Okay.
Yeah. Good question. You can't give up on Richie James Jr. There's too much potential there. Don't sleep on Seattle. They might knock the Niners to the 7th seed if they win out and Niners go 2-2. Yeah, good point. I wouldn't sleep on Seattle because Russell Wilson is amazing.
Yeah.
Good point. Grant, I'm just curious, would we have been able to trade Jimmy, get Brady for 2 seasons and still have draft capital to bring in Lance to back up Brady? Yeah, of course. But I don't know. Why would you need to do that? It's not like
wait.
Right now.
Hold on. I don't know. The only thing I would say no, because I don't. If the Niners had Brady, I don't think they would have had that. They would have had.
You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't trade 3 first-round picks. You wouldn't. You'd be playing for now, not for the future.
Right. I don't think, and Brady wouldn't necessarily have it if you're like, oh yeah, I'm training for your backup. Like
the Bucks didn't do anything like that. They drafted Kyle Trask, who's a nice
fly. That wouldn't fly.
Absolutely not. But you wouldn't. I mean, we don't need to trade for Trey Lance because they would have won the Super Bowl and they'd be enjoying, the Tom Brady's 4th prime.
Yeah,
pretty much. Good question though. All right, let's do this. Moving on. So, the 49, again, they won this game. Niner fans are feeling good. We kind of brought them back to earth a little bit, just looking at their offense and defense. They could go on a run. When they play their best, they can beat anyone, but let's put it this way. If they're going to win a Super Bowl this year, Tom Compton will be starting in that game. Mike McGlinchey is not walking through that door. He's out for the year. And, Tom Compton is a really good run blocker. He really is. He's like better than Mike McGlinchey. Their running game to the right side has improved since Mike McGlinchey went down, but pass blocking, he's like having a tight end at tackler. So he's so bad. Can't even stay on his feet. Can the 49ers can any team win a Super Bowl with Tom Compton starting at right tackle? That's not a fair question. How do the let's go more. How do the 49ers mitigate the impact of this guy's pass protection?
You can't. You
You
gotta
can't.
limit. You have to limit obvious passing downs. That's the only way to
Like
do it. I
third
mean,
down, don't fall behind.
like
Okay.
I even thought of like certain times, like when it's obvious passing downs, you just bring in more. But like I know, I know he's messed up, but he's messed up with um, mental cues, right? Which are correctable.
Yeah.
Tom Compton just physically gets manhandled.
Yes.
So and that's a problem. So that's not gonna get corrected.
No, and so like again, when I look at the 49ers skeptically, I'm looking at a couple of positions. Kicker, right tackle,
Right
right
tackle, right
guard,
guard.
right guard, and
That
number two corner. Number two corner.
yeah.
I mean, Ambry may not play again this season. It could be Dante Johnson, but how big of an upgrade is that? Really? How big of an upgrade is that? Dante Johnson. That's he's gonna. That's the savior, Dante. I know. I'm no offense. I mean, he's not a corner. He's not a starting corner. He's a do it all special teams vet, great player to have on your team. But really, he's your eighth option at cornerback, and now he's starting. So we're talking Compton here. I'm just trying to say, like, are the Niners overrated or underrated? Well, they have Tom Compton in their starting lineup, and he lost the game for them 2 weeks ago. They couldn't throw right with the game on the line because of him. So are the Niners contenders, pretenders? I just don't know how far you can go with this guy.
Didn't he give up 2 sacks Sunday?
Yes. And it's like just getting blown by around the edge. Like, really?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And
Is Jalen Moore really worse than that?
it's the entire right side, right? It's just physically can get manhandled. The entire right side. Brunskill has issues. I saw one play where Brunskill was getting driven back, like seemed like 5-7 yards into the backfield. So it's the entire right side.
And like the offensive line definitely limits the effectiveness of the offense. But so does Jimmy Garoppolo's limitations. And I really feel that I always come back to the Moneyball aspect. Jimmy Garoppolo's being overpaid and taking up all that money is a big contributing factor for why the right side is weak, for why the cornerback depth is weak. If you're spending $27 million on a quarterback, that it comes at the expense of depth, and probably some starters too. So, I mean, it's not Jimmy's fault, but it's the organization's fault, and it's Jimmy's fault by proxy. So sorry, this is you get the Tom Compton experience now. Make the most of it.
I agree with that. I saw a tweet out there like that there wasn't, if the 49ers didn't have Jimmy Garoppolo, there weren't any corners out there that they could get. That's not true.
No,
they could have traded for Stephon Gilmore and for a 6th round in 2035, and they could have had Stephon Gilmore on the roster.
You could have better backups too, as opposed to, what you got.
Yeah.
Dante, Lenore, and Ambry. Come on, like they could have had actual vet backups as opposed to Lenore and Ambry, who one. I mean, it's hard to say who's worse. They need to chip more to help out on passing downs. Yeah, Kyle likes getting 5 eligibles in the pattern.
Right, but see, the problem is, I don't know about you, Grant, but I get super aggravated when I see Nick Bosa. I mean, not Nick Bosa. When George Kittle in pass pro, like. And you see what he does when they put him out in patterns. He goes for 180 yards and
hey, like, well then have use check Chip. You have use check Chip. You don't throw to him anyway.
Or no, you know what Kyle will do? He'll put Dwelly. He'll use Dwelly. That's a
poor Dwelly, man. Me hyping him up was the kiss of death for his career. Kyle's like, "Oh, you like Dwelly? Well, watch me never, ever. I'm never gonna prove you right." All right, let's talk about Aaron Banks. Hold on, real quick. Mark Pfeiffer says, "Why did we draft Aaron Banks?" Yeah. Is it too soon to call Aaron Banks a bust? I mean, let me just put it in context. We're not going to judge Trey Lance yet. That's a quarterback, and he's 21 years old. Ambry Thomas just started a game. Kyle Shanahan, I mean, he got roasted, but he was against Jamar Chase, and Kyle Shanahan basically gave him the benefit of the doubt and said, I'm encouraged. Trey Sermon has started games and played decently at times. Aaron Banks has never played a down in the NFL and doesn't seem anywhere near it, and he's a freaking guard that they drafted in round 2, not round 3, round 2. It's not a developmental position. The expectation, I'm thinking, is that he was going to play and be good, and he can't. There's no path to playing for him in sight. So is it too early to call him a bust? No, it's not too early.
It's not too early. I think
No.
when you're a second round guard is like a first round any other position. So when you take a guard in the second round, even like guard, center, interior lineman, offensive lineman in the second round, that's should have the expectation that person's going to start. Well, I say, has it never happened before where a center or guard has redshirted a year and then played the following year? It's happened, but you should definitely start raising some red flags that he can't even like sniff any playing time.
No,
like and it's not like the context, right? It's not like Brunskill's out there killing it, like, right?
No. And if Brunskill were to go down, I don't even know that Banks would be the next man up.
Probably not.
Probably not.
They probably put more or something there, guard or whatever.
And again, now this is important. We talked earlier about the Niners and good teams admitting mistakes and moving on. Okay, you drafted a bust, Aaron Banks. That's hard. It's rough. You know what makes it worse? If you stick with him. You stick with him. If you know that he's not good, and it seems like the Niners are saying that they have some hope for Ambry Thomas, Trey Sermon. They don't say anything like that about. If you know he sucks, get rid of him. He shouldn't be on your team next year. Get a new guard. Because if he's taken up a spot on your roster that he shouldn't be taking up, that's just another year of you waiting to address something you need to address now. So I think, yeah, he's a bust. And unless he shows you something in the next few weeks, replace him next year. You're too good of a team. You don't need to hold on to him just because you spent a second-round pick on him and you feel like it's a sunk cost. Don't make that mistake again. Be like the Patriots.
They might not be able to afford it if they keep Jimmy another year.
Yeah. Matt H need a new right guard that is thick, can handle bull rush, thick with 3 C's. Yeah, man, that needs to be on the scouting report for the next guard. Thick.
That's who they thought Banks was. But
that's right. But he was only thick with 2 C's, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna do my quarterback manifesto thing. To me, like the NFL is so interesting because it's by far the most lucrative sports league in the country. It's got the most money and the smartest people, and it's all about getting that franchise quarterback. It's what it's all about. And really, there's no science to it in the NFL. What teams do is try to get a quarterback who's above average. There's like 15 of them in the world. Once you get one, wife that dude up. You know what I mean? Just commit and give him, that second contract that's market rate. That's what, and now it's like $35 million a year. It's getting to the point where it's like $500 million to re-sign. And your teams gladly do it. Gladly. You know what? It gives us stability. We look good. We're going to make the playoffs. Teams want to wife up the quarterback. Teams want to be in that monogamous, committed relationship. And to me, I don't get it. I think I don't like it. If I were a consultant, I would be advising teams to stay single and keep your options open. Because again, look at the Patriots now. They didn't trade up for a quarterback. They let Mac Jones come to them. If he sucked, they could get another one next year. They let it come to, and now, Mac Jones is cool, but they don't have to, they're not super invested in him. They can see how it works with him in a few years. And so, for example, the Niners, they don't do this. They're hot and heavy to wife up a quarterback. Jimmy Garoppolo, he's over there in New England. He's shown some glimpses. Let's trade a second for him. He gives us 5 good games. Let's give him $125 million. And now, if he turns out to be good and not great, you can't move on. You're invested. And you stick with him. And again, with Trey Lance, you didn't just let him come to you. You spent 3 firsts and a third on him. So him being bad is not an option. Not an option. And you're going to stick with him for years after years. And, if he shows you a little glimpse after 3 years on the bench, shows you a little glimpse in year 4, you're going to give him a $500 million. And once again, you're over-investing in the quarterback position. What I would say is that trend is dumb. And smart teams are going to start realizing, yeah, it's an important position, but the key to success, to really having a chance to win a Super Bowl, is to keep your options open at quarterback. I'm just saying, over-investing in quarterback. Like here, what do you think? What do you think?
Well, I generally agree. I think if Trey Lance in this situation, like when you talk about the Niners, if Trey Lance end up being just average, if he's average and you're paying him what he's getting paid, that's a big plus for you. You can win with that.
Yeah.
I do think if you do draft, if Mac Jones end up being elite, I do think you have to give him the contract. But I wouldn't where I'm on this in the same boat with you is like a guy like Baker. I wouldn't pay Baker Mayfield. I would move on from him and
the
find
best part
another
about it
quarterback.
is there's plenty of teams that would pay Baker. Plenty of teams that look at that as like, he'd be a step up for us. He would give us stability. Great, man. Let me get 2 first-round picks.
Yeah, I trade him. Trade Baker, and then I'd go do what the Pats did: is find a rookie quarterback that can manage the game for me, and then I'd
see where it goes. See where it goes.
You can't manage like I know we're talking about the Browns, but you can't get a game manager rookie quarterback or game manager quarterback and just like Myles Garrett just go ball out and just don't lose the game for me. We'll win it. We'll win on defense. We'll run it with Nick Chubb.
But the Patriots are in a great spot where like if Mac Jones becomes super great, they could give him the contract. Mm-hmm. Or they've proven they can win a game with him throwing 3 times. So if he wants $500 million in 4 years, they could say, no, thanks. We'll trade you. You can get the $500 million from the 49ers or the Raiders or any team that wants to do stuff like that. And we'll just get someone else for really cheap. There's no problem. We've done this before. Like, look, who are the teams who are hot and heavy to give out big money to the Raiders? They've done it with Derek Carr for years. The Niners, the Vikings, Dallas. I mean, Dak's a little bit better, but same thing. I mean, same thing. But
Dallas shells out.
Absolutely. The Vikings, you gave a bunch of money to Kirk Cousins. Like, okay, so what did that accomplish? Like, you're an okay team. You're a decent team, a respectable team, I guess. But so over investing in quarterbacks, it's what the NFL does. And to me, it's it didn't lead to a lot of it didn't lead to multiple Super Bowl rings for Aaron Rodgers. It didn't lead to multiple Super Bowl rings for Drew Brees. So why is it the way to go with Jimmy Garoppolo or Derek Carr or Kirk Cousins? I don't think it is. And I think you're seeing smart teams like Arizona and New England figured out like, hey, draft a quarterback, doesn't work out, draft another quarterback. You don't have to make the big trade up. You don't have to make the huge signing. It doesn't have to be that dramatic. That's all I'm saying. I know it's important, but it's not that important.
Things might be changing for Arizona rather quickly because Kyler Murray is going to get the bag, and then unless they don't, and
he gets hurt, I mean, what's he going to look? I'm just saying, but they'll have a big decision to make. There, all these teams are going to have a big decision about who deserves the second contract. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. The second contract,
and like a team like Kansas City is gonna be interesting because I believe Frank Clark and Chris Jenkins have Chris Jones have some of the higher position cap hits in the league. So and that Mahomes contract is really going to hit them next year as far as cap hit. So they're going to
fall apart, but he'll be good. Okay, so let's talk about the first contract for a quarterback. I was doing some research in Cincinnati. I was bored. And the rookie wage scale has been in place for 10 years, 2011. Since then, the Super Bowl winning quarterbacks have been Brady 4 times, Eli once, Peyton once, and then the other 4 were Joe Flacco, Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes, Nick Foles. Now, those last 4, those were guys, take Foles out of it. Those 3 were guys in their first contract. Now, Foles is interesting. He was a backup, but that team was led most of the year by Wentz, who was on his rookie contract, got hurt. And it was just a testament to how this theory works. The team was so stacked that they won with their backup quarterback. It's a testament to having a cheap quarterback. So to me, 4 of these years were won by Brady. 4 of these years were won by teams with a quarterback on his first contract. It's very valuable if you don't have a Brady or a Manning because dude is hella cheap. So when people say, look at what the Patriots did in 5 years. They had Jimmy and they sat him, old school, sat him and gave up the whole rookie contract. Then they were like, damn, what do we do? Do we pay him? No, we're not. We're going to let the Niners give him the second contract. And now they have a guy like Jimmy and they played him right away. And they've kind of figured it out. You want the guy in the first contract playing because it's cheap. You put a great team around him. Kaepernick was on a first contract. He was great. As soon as he got his second contract, the Niners became mediocre and went 8-8. Maybe it was not a 1-to-1, but you can't ignore this trend. The first contract is what you want.
And if the guy on the first contract is a star, then even better. Like Russell Wilson was a star on his first contract.
And it applies for all positions, right? Like look at Nick Bosa, first contract, balling out, what an asset. Azeez Al-Shaair, super cheap, balling out, what an asset. But Jimmy's on his second contract. It's hard.
The only thing I'll say about it, why it's a bigger deal with a quarterback is because when a quarterback gets paid, it takes up so much of your cap. Even a guy like Bosa, who's going to get paid, like it's not going to be
as much
comparative to as much as a quarterback.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the difference. And the other part of it is a quarterback. When a quarterback is playing well, and that's why you do pay them so much, is they affect so much of the game, right?
Yeah.
So when you get a quarterback on a rookie deal,
yes,
that plays well,
yes,
you're getting so much value there,
right? And it's value on the rest of your team. It's value in your secondary. It's value in your offensive line. Like remember when Colin Kaepernick was balling in 2012 and 2013, he was cheap, a second round pick. He had the best offensive line in the league. He had the best defensive line in the league. He had Frank Gore, Vernon Davis. The team was stacked. And that's what you can do if your quarterback is young and cheap. So like that, I want to bring it back to the Niners. So what the Niners are stuck in the past. You got Mike Shanahan Jr. and John Lynch operating like it's 1997, and that's fine. But having Trey Lance sit for a long time and having like preparing him for his second contract, dude, that's old. You don't do that anymore. Well, the whole thing is, I know that like we don't want to be good, we want to be great. Yeah, because you traded 3 picks for him. But really, all you need is Joe Flacco on a rookie deal, Mac Jones on a rookie deal. Like the Patriots right now, in my opinion, have as good of a chance to win the Super Bowl as any freaking team. And people be like, you can't win a Super Bowl with a rookie quarterback. It could happen this year. And then what are people going to say? People are going to look. The trends are going to change if the Patriots. I want to see that the Patriots go into the Super Bowl with a rookie quarterback. It could happen. I think it's the biggest threat to the Chiefs in the AFC.
It could happen, but even that aside, if they lose in the playoffs in any round, okay,
next year they'll be even stronger.
Right, exactly.
And you're like, oh my god, yeah,
right. If you're a Patriots fan and your team loses right now in the playoffs, you're gonna feel so. Man, Mac Jones played this one. Imagine how good Mac Jones is gonna be next year. Imagine how good we're gonna be next year.
We'll have another first round pick. We'll have more free agents additions. I mean, the team's gonna be. It's not just that he'll be better. The team will be better. That's the key. It's a team sport. The team will be better next year.
Right.
So the first contract, again, it's to me, the trend is, and the Patriots are showing it. It's all about getting a good quarterback on the field as soon as possible. And what aids him? The fact that you can spend on his teammates to make them better. The fact that all the rules are in his favor. The fact that if a defensive lineman hits him and lands on him, it's a 15-yard penalty. If he hits him too high, it's a 15-yard penalty. If it's him too low, it's a 15-yard penalty. I'm just saying. So the first contract, the Niners are wasting it. And maybe next year they'll take advantage, but this is the trend. The Patriots are showing it. The Cardinals are showing it. Pay attention. NFL teams are so stuck in their ways sometimes. Because of tradition.
If the 49ers do actually keep Jimmy Garoppolo another year, that'd be a major, major, major blunder.
Now let's talk about the second contract. This is what teams aspire to. It's like they want to say, we have a franchise quarterback. We're paying him $500 million. We're a good franchise. Josh Allen got the deal. Patrick Mahomes got the deal. Lamar Jackson, the Ravens are thinking about it. They have to make a big decision. The Browns have to make a big decision. The Rams did make a big decision on Goff. It was the wrong decision. The Eagles made the wrong decision with Wentz. This is something teams do, and it really seems to work out poorly most of the time. Just a little stat. Again, since the rookie wage scale has come into effect, last 10 years, only one quarterback on his second contract has won a Super Bowl. It was Eli Manning in 2011. That's it. Otherwise, it's guys who are on third, fourth, fifth contracts later in their, guys in their 30s who are maybe a little bit cheaper than a dude who's 26 getting paid top of the market, or young guys. So the Niners, again, they seem to be aspiring for the second contract guy. They brought in Jimmy Garoppolo right at the end of his rookie deal so they could give him a ton of money. They have Trey Lance on the bench, and they're saying stuff like, hey, man, he's not going to play until he's absolutely ready. Okay, and then that could be in 3 years. He plays well, and then you give him $500 million, or what? It could be $1 billion in 3 years. Get with the program, guys. Come on. You don't need to wife up these quarterbacks. You can kind of play the field, be a bachelor, move on every few years. I just don't understand this whole tradition in the NFL. Like, let's just spend all our money on one player and call ourselves a great team. Did it work for Seattle? Did it work for Green Bay? No. No. And I guess it seems like, well, it's not all about winning the Super Bowl. You want to be competitive. Fine, whatever. Okay. That's how you feel. These are the 49ers. There's a high standard in Santa Clara, 5 Super Bowl rings. And since the York's been there, they talk about Super Bowl runs. We made it to the Super Bowl. Oh, wow. That's phenomenal. Great job. Before you were in I'm going off on a tangent here. I don't want to talk about it. The Niners didn't lose Super Bowl until the Yorks got here. Anyway, second contract is something I think you kind of want to avoid, even if you have the greatest quarterback of your generation, Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers. You can't win. It's hard to win a Super Bowl if you're paying a dude that much. It's just so hard. The Packers have proven it.
Yeah, I don't know that you can let a Rodgers or a Mahomes walk.
It's a conundrum. What you really need is that dude to work with you and take a little bit of a pay cut, but Rodgers will never do that, ever.
No, he's not that dude.
No, he won't. And so that's, to me, like, look, if you have Rodgers, what you could have done, waited for a year when you love the first pick coming out, Kyler Murray, whoever it is, next year, Bryce Young, trade him for the first pick in the draft, plus more. And just be like, I really like Bryce Young.
I think what you could potentially do is you'd have to be wise as a GM as you flip your roster. So if you plan for, like, if I'm the Chiefs, right, and I know that this Mahomes contract is going to come into effect, right? So I'm going to flip my roster. I want my entire roster to be young and not vets, and flip it. So I want to accumulate draft picks and just surround Mahomes with a bunch of young players, so that it's to make up for some of that cap space that I'm not saving with the quarterback being paid so much. That's the other thing you could do. It's harder, right? Because it's easier just to do it with one position, the quarterback. The quarterback's cheap, and then you pay everybody else. But I think you'd have to plan for it and then flip it.
Yeah, I just think it's really interesting to me that people say, you gotta have that vet quarterback to win a Super Bowl. Well, really, in the last 10 years, the only vet quarterback, like in his prime on that second contract, who won a Super Bowl was freaking Eli on a wild card team that was like 9-7. Right? That's it.
Yeah,
that's it. And then the other 4, there's 4 that's Brady because he's amazing, and then there's 4 with these teams that had guys on that first contract: Wentz, Flacco, Mahomes, Wilson. That to me is, you got 4 one team, and then Eli in the 9-7. New York Giants. What's the template really?
But and this whole concept even goes back further, right? Where you're talking about the percentage of a cap,
right?
A quarterback taking, right? Is it the highest it's ever been? Was Steve Young? Was it 14?
Yeah, 13.
Like 13.
Yeah, and if the Niners were to win it this year, Jimmy would be the highest of all time. They would. Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so really, the only quarterbacks in the history of the salary cap who've won it making double-digit salary cap percentages: Favre, Young, Eli, Peyton, Brady. That's it. 5 guys. Favre, Young, Eli, Peyton, Brady. So, I mean, Rodgers hasn't done it.
And
yeah. Elway didn't do it.
Right. So, like, and all of those guys are Hall of Fame.
Warner was dirt cheap when he won.
Those are all Hall of Fame quarterbacks.
Right.
So that's why we talk about with Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo's not going to the Hall of Fame.
Not going to the Pro Bowl.
So how are they going to win it? How can they win a Super Bowl with him being paid that much?
Let's talk about that right now. Okay, this takes us perfectly into our second to last topic. Peter King was at this game, and I was thinking, here's how I knew Peter King was at the game. His seat was right next to mine. We had assigned seats. I sit down, and I'm looking to my left is Cam Inman, great guy. To my right, Peter King. I'm thinking, wow, I'm going to sit next to Peter King today. But then I was thinking, I don't think I will. I don't think he's going to sit here. I saw him. He was there. I saw him eating lunch. He never sat down next to me. Now, maybe I wasn't smelling good, but it's possible he was somewhere else. Maybe he was talking to someone. Anyway, I was thinking, I'm really interested to hear what his opinion is after this game, because I bet it'll be informed by someone he spoke to. And sure enough, he says, "Hey, man, the Niners are for everything I'm hearing, there's a real chance Jimmy could come back. They're really impressed by how he's handled this awkward situation with his career on the line, how he's responded. I believe him. I mean, Peter King talking to someone, he even said from everything he's hearing, I'm guessing. I don't know. My best guess is it's freaking the general manager. But anyway, who traded for Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't know that. This is a real possibility. And I just want to say, I'm not 100% against it. Whatever, dude. If you want to keep Jimmy Garoppolo, that's your freaking business. But you got to extend his contract and make him cheaper. You should have done, honestly, you could have done this 2 years ago. But if you keep Jimmy, give him an extension and make him, $15 million a year, because I think he's fine. He's okay. The team likes him. You could probably win with him if he was half the price, and you could actually invest in the right side of your offensive line and your defensive backfield. I don't have a problem with it, but he has to be way freaking cheaper. That if they bring him back next year and pay him $27 million and keep Trey Lance on the bench, it's lunacy. There's a way to handle this, and they're not doing it. But I don't have a problem, Jimmy. You can win with a guy like Jimmy at a certain price. Fine, whatever.
I'm against it. I think they gotta move on. I mean, you traded 2 first-round picks and then you drafted Trey Lance. You're too much invested in Trey Lance. You need that money to surround Trey Lance with players. On top of that, there's an injury history of Jimmy Garoppolo, so he could be injured next year, which
true.
And now you just have all that money.
It's not what
It's
not what I would do. But if that's what they want to do, fine. Make it work. Renegotiate that contract and extend him if that's what you want to do.
We just spoke about D Ford earlier. So let's just say you could potentially have D Ford, still one of the highest paid players on the team, and Jimmy Garoppolo injured next year on your roster and getting no value out of that. It's Jimmy Garoppolo.
I don't like them riding the fence. This year, having both quarterbacks, it's dumb. I'm sorry. It doesn't make sense. It's too expensive. And if you're going to do that again, pick one. If it's Jimmy, it's Jimmy. If it's Trey, it's Trey. Don't do the whole 2 quarterback thing because it's way too expensive.
But they've already chosen Trey. They drafted Trey Lance.
They get rid of Jimmy. It's got to be one or the other, man. That's all I'm saying. It seems like the ownership have said it's going to be Trey. If John Lynch can do this end around or whoever it is that really likes Jimmy Garoppolo and keep Jimmy there, fine. If Jimmy wins a Super Bowl this year, fine. But get rid of Trey then at that point. Commit to one, because really it's unfair what they did to Jimmy. They're like, yo, Jimmy's our guy still, but we're not going to give him any help in the draft. That's not helpful. Maybe Jimmy be playing a lot better right now if he had Jamar Chase or something like that. I don't know. Pick one.
You could argue that the best time to beat Jimmy Garoppolo would be if he won the Super Bowl, because you probably get you really want that first round draft pick.
But again,
if you won a Super Bowl,
the only thing is there's a possibility that Trey Lance is a bust. We don't know. They don't know.
There is.
And if they're scared about that, if they think he is, and they feel like Garoppolo is still their best option for now, whatever, just make up your mind. Please make up your mind. And give Jimmy the help he needs, or get rid of him and give Trey the help he needs, because Trey on the bench doesn't help Jimmy. Jimmy on the bench doesn't help Trey. It doesn't help the whole team. And you see the effects on other parts of the roster. Make up your mind. Make a decision. I know I would go with Trey Lance, of course, but they see him in practice every day. If Jimmy really is their guy and they just had this epiphany after 5 years, then let's talk about trading Trey Lance.
Well, right. If Jimmy's your guy, then trade Trey Lance and
let's talk about
get something from him and
yeah. If Jimmy's your guy and you want to give him a chance to win a Super Bowl, get rid of Trey Lance. They won't. But that's what this is coming down to. If you really want to talk about keeping Jimmy Garoppolo, then you got to trade Trey Lance. And here's why they won't do that: because you're selling low. You traded him you traded 3 firsts and a third for him, and to give up on him now, what would they get back in a trade for Trey Lance now? Because the perception is that you don't like him anymore.
So here's the thing, though.
Would you even get a first round pick for him? I don't know.
I think you might be able to get a one, because this QB class this year is not very good. So you might be able to get it. You could probably get a one from him.
Could you get the first pick in the draft? No, he hasn't shown anything. He
You
hasn't
get a
shown
one.
anything. In fact, all he's shown is that the Niners don't trust him. That's what they've shown. So the thing is, the Niners are a sunk cost fallacy team. They do not admit mistakes, and they will not cut their losses. They didn't do it with Jimmy. They rode that till the very end, and they're not done riding that. I mean, they're going to ride that till the wheels fall off. Trading Trey Lance would be selling low and admitting a mistake, and they will not do that. So the reason I feel like whoever is pushing this, Jimmy Garoppolo needs to stay and is going to lose, because the Niners ultimately aren't going to just admit that they were wrong on Trey Lance. They can put it off, but eventually they're going to want to show that they were right about him and prove that they weren't ridiculous for spending all that capital on him. Eventually they will.
Yeah,
That's
in 4 years.
That's how they work.
In 4 years.
4 years.
In
4 years. Yeah. But again, it's doing Jimmy Garoppolo a disservice to bring him back next year and keep Trey Lance on the bench. It's too much money. It's too much. It's not like the 80s when you had Joe Montana and Steve Young and there's no salary cap and neither of them making that much money anyway because it's the freaking 80s. It's different. It's different. The Niners have 17% of their cap space tied up into two players, one of whom doesn't play. It's too much.
Yeah, you could see like Jimmy Garoppolo going to another team. Like I'm trying to think. Like let's just say if the Browns moved on from and he went to the Browns on a far cheaper cost, and then
that's what I'm saying.
And then he'd start winning. And people, we love Jimmy Garoppolo. Like
I think that might happen because we know Cleveland wanted him, right? Cleveland tried to trade for Jimmy before they got Baker Mayfield, and the Patriots snubbed him. That was reported, so they could still be interested. Jimmy Garoppolo would do a lot of what Baker does with a little less arm strength for maybe half the price. That would be a good move for them.
Right. And plus, if you traded Baker Mayfield, get something back from him, now I get a quarterback that can just manage the game and again, like far
Jimmy
cheaper price.
Yeah, on a modest third contract is way different than Jimmy Garoppolo on his second contract, which initially made him the highest paid player in the league. Way different thing. Way different thing. People always say, like, where do you rank Jimmy Garoppolo in terms of quarterbacks? That's not the question. That's not the question. The issue with Jimmy, he's a double whammy. He's limited and he's overpaid. That's a double whammy. If he were limited and cost effective, like Mac Jones, you'd be like, we can win a Super Bowl with this guy if our team's good enough. Who cares? But if he's limited and too expensive, your boat's sinking. Your boat's sinking. I'm sorry. Yeah.
But I don't
advise them to trade Trey Lance. I advise them to play Trey Lance right now. But I'm just saying, if you guys really want to go down this route and stick with Jimmy because you kind of like limited, mediocre skill sets, fine. The Patriots like that too. You don't pay for it though. You don't pay for it. Make it worth your while financially. That's all I'm saying. I don't care. I'd rather have Trey Lance, but the Niners don't seem to know what they want. So just make up your mind, please. DRB says we'll finish 10-7 or 9-8. That's not in the conversation for contender pretender. We're the definition of a wild card team, no more, no less. Man, that was a bar right there. I liked it. Those were bars. Spitting. It's true. It's true, man. It's true. Hold on. Someone said Grant's a loser. No, Grant's a hater. That's true. What's up, Grant? Yo. I am a hater. People be like, hey, man, all you do is troll. Hey, trolling ain't easy.
Yeah.
If trolling were easy, anyone would do it for money, okay?
But it is lucrative if you can get it right.
You're good at it. That was funny. Niners beat the Rams, got swept by the Seahawks, lost to the Arizona Cardinals this time with Colt McCoy at quarterback. Niners in third place, Garoppolo drama, same old in SF. It's always interesting to hear the outsider's perspective on the Niners. Niner fans always want to make it feel like, it's working and the plan's going well. But when I go on the radio in other parts of the country and they ask about the Niners, they're always like, what is going on with that quarterback position? No one really gets it. So, just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, because everyone's insulated in the Niners community. Like,
yes,
it's
the plan. They said that we've heard their explanation, but like people are like in Seattle and Green Bay are like, huh? What? It's a little weird. Yeah. So you're not playing Trey Lance. Why? You traded all that, but it's Jimmy. Like, for example, Steve Young. Was he not ready to play for the 49ers, or was he just not as good as Joe Montana in his prime? Like, did Steve Young really – I mean, he even said it was a waste of time. He just wasn't as good as Joe Montana. They brought They brought in Steve. Joe actually didn't have a back problem, came back, had his career renaissance. Sorry, Steve, you'll just have to wait until Joe Montana's a little bit older because he never was as good as Joe Montana. So it's not that like Steve sucked and needed 4 years of seasoning. It's just he was trapped behind
Brett,
Joe Montana.
Do you know what there wasn't at that time? You know
what?
A salary cap.
True.
There wasn't salary cap.
Yeah, it's a different game, different sport.
Right. So that's also part of the reason why Young sat too, is that there wasn't a salary cap, so there wasn't the issue of Montana. And Montana, obviously, if he's not the best quarterback of all time, he's number 2. He's tops. So, but he would have, if in today's age, he would have had a huge monster deal, and he'd be taking up cap space. Now you'd be getting play for that pay, but it'd still be an issue, right? You just talked about Aaron Rodgers, you talked about Mahomes and all of that. So, but Montana didn't live with that era. So today's age, you couldn't afford to keep a Young, and at that time, like you didn't, right? Young played in Tampa Bay, and he was kind of rehabbing into the quarterback that he is. But yeah, you can't afford to do that today.
Gabriel has an interesting question. Would the Niners be in a better situation had they restructured Jimmy's contract and went all in now? Yes, I think they'd be in a better situation. They'd have more wins right now, but that's not what I would have done.
Then
what I would have done, to me, like we were talking the offseason, should the Niners trade for Deshaun Watson? Niner fans were all about it. And I was like, no, he's too expensive. You give up the picks and you got to pay him. It's too much. So what they did was they traded for someone who's not even proven. They gave up they basically took the Deshaun Watson trade package and spent it on a kid from college. And so if I was against Watson, I never would have advised the Niners to trade up to 3. To me, you just chill at 12 and take the best quarterback available and hope it works out. And if it doesn't, you draft another quarterback next year. That's what I would have done. I mean, really, if they had Mac Jones right now and Jimmy was off the books, I'm not saying Mac Jones is like going to be a great quarterback, but he'd be playing. They'd have better corners. They'd have better offensive line. They'd have more money in the rest of the roster. I mean, they'd have a much better record right now. I'm just saying, I think probably trading up to 3 is something that I wouldn't recommend. I love Trey Lance, but he might have been there at 12. You don't know.
Let me ask you this. If they traded up last year to number 3 and they drafted Mac Jones and then they let Jimmy Garoppolo go, wouldn't that probably
you trade to 3 for Jones though? He would have been there.
No, I know you did. I know you didn't. It didn't need to, but right now,
I don't like Mac Jones.
I don't either. But what I'm saying is, don't you think they'd produce a better outcome for this year than currently with Jimmy Garoppolo? Because you'd be able to use that 25 million to get better players. Mac Jones, you and I both agree that. I mean, I think Mac Jones could do pretty much the same thing Jimmy Garoppolo is doing, if not better.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also feel that Trey Lance could do the exact same thing that Jalen Hurts is doing in Philly, if not better. But yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, you know who are the 2 worst rookie quarterbacks right now?
Who?
Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
You know who are the 2 worst teams in the NFL right now?
Thank you.
Thank
you. To me, like the only argument not to play a quarterback is that, man, our team is so bad, like he'll get injured. But I mean, that happened to Joe Burrow last year, and he's fine. Like they're better off playing Joe Burrow, having him get hurt, than putting him on ice. He's more advanced, having gone through that last year, and they're in a better place now. I just don't see it. I mean, basically, you could say, like, I've talked about this with Vish. What quarterback would have been hella good but got ruined because he played too early? David Carr? Maybe he just sucked one way or another. It's possible he just sucked, right? Joey Harrington, like he would have been great had he sat for a long time. Right. And no, he just was terrible. Tim Couch would have been better had he sat. Nah, maybe he was just a bust. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, you just don't want to ruin them. You don't want to get them hurt physically, and get them killed physically. And then the other thing is I would be concerned with.
But again, that happened to Joe Burrow, and he's okay. It happened to him. Yeah, it did.
Right. Yeah. And the other thing, you wouldn't want. I'd want to protect him. So and not just for getting hurt physically, but I do think if you can't protect a quarterback, it can just throw off their timing and learning process and all like that. So I would want to protect them. But the Niners, for all the talk about the right side, their offensive line is not the worst in the league, right? So if they trotted out Trey Lance or anybody out there, it's not the worst offensive line in the league.
We have a lot to work with as opposed to Zach Wilson. And again, Zach Wilson has nothing to work with, really struggling. Would he be better off had he never played this year? I don't think so. I think the fact that he's going through all this adversity is going to set him up to be better next year than if he had just sat and watched. I really believe that. And look at all the quarterbacks who struggled last year, the rookies. Tua, looking good now.
Yeah, Tua's fine right now.
Jalen Hurts, looking good now. I mean, really, and they probably benefited from that time on the field. I'm just saying. I don't know how we got down this road. George Yu says prediction 2022 Jimmy G to Panthers for a 4th round and a Diet Coke, possibly the best backup in the league. That's a great that is a reasonable prediction. 4th rounder seems fair. Panthers seem like a team that might make that mistake. And they could restructure his contract. That's possible. Yeah, I think Carolina and Cleveland, 2 teams that might make that mistake.
And Matt Rule he fired his OC because his OC wouldn't run the ball enough. So Jimmy Garoppolo, what's the formula for Jimmy to win? Run the football, play action, limit his passes, and don't make mistakes.
Good point. That's a good point. 4th rounder and a Diet Coke. I don't like Diet Coke.
No, I don't either.
To me, I don't drink Coke, but if I don't drink soda because it's just so bad for you.
Yeah.
But if I'm gonna have a soda, I'm having the real thing, man. Are you kidding me? Yeah. And the thing is, if you don't have a soda for a month, oh my god, so good. It's so good.
Soda with if you drink it like pizza and soda go together.
Oh,
I
might have to make a move today.
Yeah,
I might have to make a move today. Grant, what is your opinion on Aaron Rodgers? Do you see him possibly coming to the Niners next season?
Well, that was out of left field.
That was out of left field.
I don't think so. I mean, they have Trey Lance. Why?
They could trade Trey Lance for him. It seems like he's doing pretty good in Green Bay. Now, we don't know how the season's going to end. Maybe it could get weird in the NFC Championship game and he's frosty again. But so far, it's so good. If he comes – are the Niners a better team than Green Bay? I mean, the Green Bay has a better defense than the Niners.
Yeah.
They do.
I'd have to look at the contract. If the Niners –
it's a better running back than the Niners.
The thing about the veteran quarterback, if you can trade for the veteran quarterback, and if the way it's set up that the other team is eating up all this money and all this guaranteed money, and then you get the quarterback really cheap and it's on your end. But if you just trade for Aaron Rodgers and it's like – and he ends up being the cap hit that he is in Green Bay, now it's just your problem.
But what do the Niners have to give? Like, I don't think the Packers want Jimmy. I don't think the Packers want Lance. They have Jordan Love. What do they need with Lance? What they would have liked would have been 3 first-round picks. But you don't have that anymore. You have Lance. So I don't see the Niners pulling that one out. I think there's a reason the Niners tried to make this trade before the draft. Hey, do you want the number 3 pick? No.
No, okay.
No. We're not juiced about Trey Lance. Grant, the Northern Cal game came out of you big time by saying, hella, Jimmy Garoppolo needs to go ASAP. I don't hide it. I was in Cincinnati, and I was asking, like, local Cincinnatiers, I don't know what they call themselves, Cincinnatians, what to do. And they're like, where are you from? I'm like, California. They're like, wow. I guess California is very exotic for people in Cincinnati. I don't know. No. Neither here nor there. Had a good time in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Although it's kind of suspect, a town that's famous for chili. That's what they're famous for.
Did you have chili?
No, I missed it. Would you like some spaghetti for your chili? No, thanks.
What?
They put the chili on spaghetti or hot dogs. Hot dog, chili dog.
Hot dog, yeah, hot dog. I understand.
Just straight up noodles. Like, nah, son. We don't do that out here.
No.
Nah, their barbecue was good. I had some ribs. I don't understand why California can't do barbecue.
Are you going to the Tennessee game?
Yes.
That's where you gotta do barbecue. Barbecue. Can't
wait. George Yu says Banana Hands is just sitting Trey until we fix that right guard, right tackle spot. Yeah, you got to get that perfect team around him before you play him, man. Got to get that perfect team around him before you play him.
Yeah.
Well, you're not going to fix that spot until you clear up $27 million in cap space. Trade Jimmy for a player, a solid cornerback. See, that's an interesting thought too. Maybe trade him to the Panthers for Stephon Gilmore.
Stephon Gilmore's contract's gonna be up this year.
Hey, sign him.
And they haven't re-signed him.
Pick him up. Sign him.
Although I was looking at free agents for 2022. There's a boatload of pass rushers. There's only a couple corners I really would be interested in, like not too many. It's like Gilmore and like J.C. Jackson is out there, but he's gonna get franchise tagged.
I think free agency is for signing depth at corner. You want to draft your corners, and it's kind of like drafting a quarterback, except maybe even harder. Just because you drafted a guy in round 1 or round 2 doesn't mean you're going to hit, but you have to do it, and you have to keep doing it until you get it right. So all the more reason to have a lot of draft picks, a lot of them, which is what the Niners have because they build correctly.
They're gonna get a first rounder for Jimmy, so the Bears.
There you go. 2 firsts. Now in week 15, if Jason Verrett were still healthy, what do you think our record would be? 13-0, 13-0.
Yeah, I think he definitely would improve. Maybe I think they have like another win.
What if Jason Verrett, D Ford, Dre Greenlaw, who else has not? Jalen Hurd, who else isn't healthy? Mike McGlinchey. What if everyone were healthy and the Niners were the only team in the league that didn't get injuries? I think they'd win all their games.
They would have. They probably no. I wouldn't say all their games. They'd have maybe 3 losses, something like that.
The thing about football and injuries is like I follow the Niners so much more closely than I follow the other teams, and like when the week starts, right now I'm thinking I don't know how the Niners are gonna do this, man. They don't got Dante.
Everyone's injured, right?
They don't got this guy. They don't got that. And then as the week goes on, and I start learning more about the team. I'm like, damn, like you don't have anyone either. You're missing this guy. Like, well, I mean that's December football, right? Like, you
right.
got to find a way to win, and you're definitely not the same team you were at the beginning of the season.
The problem I think that we've talked about with the Niners and the injuries is that these guys that get injured are guys that have a severe injury past, and if anything, it's shown that when you're injury prone, it's a real thing. You're prone to more injuries, so that can be prevented by not having guys that have such an injury past on your so. Would you still have injuries if you had guys on your roster that were less injury prone? Yes. You have less of them? Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So if Jason Verrett were still healthy, that'd be great.
Him alone is not going to like change the entire course of the year.
Heather Taylor says, "Don't knock the chili on spaghetti till you try it." See what I'm saying? They like this. I'm sorry. My mom's Italian. My Italianness will not allow me to do this. I'm sorry. Embrace change, Grant. I will, but not. I can't.
In Brazil, they put mashed potatoes on hot dogs.
I would try that before I would try.
It's actually pretty good.
I would try that before I tried chili on.
Chili on.
I would definitely try chili. I like a chili dog. There's Barney's Burger down the street from me. I get chili dogs all the time. I would try it, but the dog has to be good too, though. You can't just tell me the chili's good and give me some weak dog. You gotta have a good dog too. That's the thing. Like, man, the chili may be great, but look at those noodles. They just look like some, there's not. I don't know. Every ingredient.
Suspect noodles.
I don't know about some suspect noodles, man. I'm all about them al dente noodles. Al dente. If we make the NFC Championship or Super Bowl, is Jimmy Garoppolo a lock to stay? I don't know. But I gotta say, I really hope he does come back because the drama and controversy of it is just the best. And as soon as he's gone and it's like, well, there's no more quarterback controversy, I don't know. I feel like my hits are going to go down. So I would kind of hope they keep Jimmy Garoppolo secretly.
Right. Then you're gonna have to pick apart Lance.
Yeah, I don't really want to do that. I'll have to. Sorry.
Wait. So do you think I'm gonna ask you a question? Did the Niners put Lance out there for the media this week?
Say they do. Because they have to. And at a certain point, he'll get fined. And we haven't complained yet, but Cam Inman just sent out like the opening. What's it called when like
shots fired?
The battleship sends out the first. That was the opening salvo. I don't know what you want to call it. It wasn't
shot across the bow.
It was a shot across the bow. We weren't trying to hit anything, but that's a shot across the bow. Hey, it's public now. We haven't complained, but now everyone knows. And giving you an opportunity to do the right thing. If they go another week without doing it, one of the senior members of this beat just might make an official complaint. And again, like, the rules are on our side here. We don't want, and the person who will get fined is Trey, who I'm sure has no problem to go up there and say the same cliches that every player says. So Niners, stop making him look like he's ducking the media and stop putting him in a position where he's going to get fined. I think he will talk this week. And the questions will be like, how's scout team? What have you learned? It's not going to be that hard. There's not going to be like this big moment where it ends up on Sports Center. It's not going to go down like that.
I was waiting for him to put him out there after the game when there's so many other players you want to talk to, and just like,
here's Trey.
Yeah.
Hey Trey. We're not really prepared for this.
Yeah. How'd that touchdown look from the sideline? Yeah.
Flying Fox Brewing Company says McGlinchey and Compton are trash. Outside of CB, finding a right tackle is the next biggest offseason priority. Real quick before we leave, McGlinchey's coming back next year. And not only that, he'll be one of the highest paid right tackles in the league. Fully guaranteed.
8th, I believe, right?
This is why I made such a big deal about him last year and said the Niners would be crazy to pick up his 5th-year option, but they did it anyway. I even asked Kyle. He's like, yeah,
huh? Yeah, hell yeah.
Great. Super, super duper. So, yeah, I'm with you on that, but don't expect any type of additions at that position. They got Jalen Moore. He's developing slowly on the bench, which is where most development happens.
What you want to do with your draft is draft your entire class, then have them simmer for about 5 years, and then they're all ready to go.
Yeah, it's like cooking pasta. You have to have it on simmer for a while.
Yeah.
The sauce. Anyway, that's our show. Hour and a half. Thank you, Coach. I really appreciate you giving me your time.
You got it. Hopefully your dad is back soon.
Hopefully my dad's back soon. I'm not thinking it's going to be during the season, but maybe early 2022. But anyway, he's fine. Later this afternoon, Jack Hammer and I are going to do offensive film as usual. Jack will be saying all the good things that Jimmy Garoppolo did, and I'll be saying all the bad things, as we usually do. This will be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it. See you guys there.
Gloves off would be a great Christmas present for anyone that hasn't picked it up, right? I'd be remiss if I didn't say that. Filling in for Mr. Cohn.
Thanks, Coach. I appreciate it. He appreciates it too. But it is a really good book. If you like reading, if you don't like reading, I would highly recommend it.
Have someone else read it to you. Have someone else read it to you.
I'm just upset that my dad didn't get to narrate a book on tape. I think he was going to, but the pandemic knocked it out. If you could have heard, because my dad has the best voice ever with that old school Jewish Brooklyn accent. It would have taken it up a notch, but oh well. Maybe I'll do a Lowell Cohn impression later on in my life, and
maybe he can do a sesh on here.
Oh, he's just reading. He used to do that actually. He used to read chapters, and I would post them on my YouTube as a promotion for the book. Yeah, Gloves Off by Lowell Cohn. Purchase it for a loved one.
Yes,
this holiday season
or hated one.
Hanukkah already came, but Christmas is coming by, and it's a good. Even though it's written by a Jewish author, it's still good. You know, my parents celebrate Christmas. My mom's Christian, so. Just saying.
Yep.
All right, everyone.
All right.
Thank you for watching.